Greetings, beloved brothers and sisters. There is an evolution to the process of forgiveness. While it's possible that it happens all at once, that's not the usual scenario. If you first start out from the ego's point of view, there is good and there is bad, and bad needs to be punished by good to equalize the scenario, to even the score. This is what you find in all of the action movies that you see online. Some very, very obvious bad person gets vanquished by a good person, and that sets the clock back to zero. Of course, it never stops there. Two wrongs do not equal a right. And you can't hate yourself into love. At a certain point, there's a wonderful breakthrough that people have when they realize that this person that they criticize or that they blame or that they see as evil, and they can see the innocence of that other person. It is such a relief to see the inner child in another person, to actually perceive their innocence in the midst of their misbehavior or misunderstanding of how life is such a grace and such a relief. And that's like the second phase. Maybe that willingness to see that things are not as they seem. But the hardest thing, it's like it becomes easy to forgive your children and see their innocence. It becomes easy to forgive your pets and see their innocence, even if you're upset with them. You can, again, forgive them in such a way that there's nothing to forgive. And yet, it's possible to get to that place and still hold no forgiveness for yourself. This one was always afraid of the Old Testament because it seemed that it was written in such a way that people were punished for being bad. And it pained him to hear that Moses wasn't going to be allowed to go to the promised land. The reason given was because he lost his temper with God and he banged his staff on the ground, impatient for the second of the tablets to be given. Whatever it was. First, this one thought it was because he slayed an Egyptian for whipping a man to death. But it wasn't that. It was that he lost his temper. And just for that, Moses could lead his people, but he wasn't allowed to go into the promised land. And hearing this one felt a heaviness, being so aware of his own short-temperedness, impatience, impulsivity, intolerance. That while he was gratified to see the innocence in other people, speak to that innocence, bring it forth, watch people heal in front of him, he's always felt like Moses, that his sins were punishable. and not innocent. And almost out of feeling authentic, he's always felt justified in remembering every unkind, unloving, impatient, intolerant thing he's ever done. So the two seem to exist simultaneously. More and more, he feels love for other people, perceives their innocence, draws forth that innocence, and watches healing in front of him, while at the same time preserving his own guilt and unforgiveness, not believing he deserves to be as happy as the people he watches be released. Intellectually, he knows this is a misconception, but emotionally, it's very painful. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. It has to do with the misperception that who you are is bad. This is not true. Who you are can't be bad. Who you are is always innocent. And what it takes is the application of love and forgiveness to yourself as innocent. What you are forgiving is nothing. True forgiveness is the recognition that there's nothing to forgive. People don't learn how to walk without falling down quite a few times. And sometimes you don't learn what love is until you learn what love isn't. And that is the work. To have compassion for yourself. That's actually more meaningful than having it for anyone else. True power lies in the recognition of who you really are and dispelling who you're afraid you are, and forgiving yourself for having believed that. There's no place to get to. This is the promised land. You're already here. Welcome yourself with forgiveness and understanding and compassion. And apply what's easy to apply to others to yourself, regardless of what feelings come up. Forgive them too. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.